Good morning, everybody. It is a Monday morning, the 8th of February, 2021. A lovely day, I'm sure, for everybody within the sound of my voice. Good morning. This is the Bear Report, and we are going to go over three things this morning. The first thing that we're going to do is post this to Patreon, which we just did. All of your show notes are down in the description on YouTube, and you can find them on Patreon as well. Patreon.com, search for Bear Independent. So, first part of the show this morning is the weekly threat matrix, which will be followed by a discussion on unemployment and universal basic income. And I can damn near guarantee that there will be some editorializing in there. And then H.R. 1, House Bill 1, which we will, the For the People Act of 2021, which we will be taking a look at as well. There's an interesting list of sponsors on this bill, and thus far from what I can see, they all skew in one political direction. So we'll be taking a look at that as well. Good morning. There's a whole 20 people on here this morning. I love the way the algorithm works in our favor. Good morning, Can't Shame Me. You are first. You are the first amongst equals. Scotty John, Pobutts Crackerbox. I don't even know what that means. Cody Willis, good morning. So please, if you are within the sound of my voice, this is a public live stream. However, YouTube no longer treats it that way because we're not in love anymore. I am a danger to society with my message of independence and self-reliance and removing oneself surgically from the beast, the system. So if you could share this out to people, good morning NWA Prepper, good morning J.A. Dudley. If you could share this out to people, like copy the link right now and send it to people, put it on your Facegram, Facegram, there you go. Facegram, Instabook, whatever, send it out there. That helps us greatly because the YouTube algorithm no longer favors our particular type of content. Happy Gardner 28, agreed. Good morning, Biddy Boo. Cornfed, what's going on, brother? All right, so we're going to look at threat matrix first. So let me see if I can do the good things with the OBS. The Watchman News is probably cringing right now. He's like, Bear, that's not how you do that. Well, I'm working on it. Let's go to the board. The lovely threat matrix, everybody. All right. So, let's present. There we go. That's better. Weekly threat matrix. Food scarcity, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, which I think is the Estados Unidos or something like that in the Espanol. Don't ask me. I'm a white dude. I don't know the Spanish very well. According to the Food and Agriculture Organizations of the United Nations, world food prices rose again in January. I'm amazed by this. It's almost like we've been talking about this for 3 years, which marks a 6-year high. Between last year's animal slaughters and massive purchases from China, there's generally less to go around, globally speaking. So let's go to food scarcity, food shortage right here. This is going to be China, foreign bad actors, also the system because of the coronavirus and the government. And then also, when it comes to food processing, there's some people that could be doing their jobs but aren't doing their jobs because of unemployment, by which I mean universal basic income, which we will cover in section 2. Tyranny. President Joseph Robinette Biden Jr.'s executive order means that now anyone found unmasked on public transit can be booted off at the nearest stop. And they could be hit with fines and federal civil charges. That's really dumb. So we're going to go over here with government and system as well for that. And then Dr. Fauci has said that it could take up to 7 years to reach herd immunity for COVID-19. So I guess it would be COVID 2026 at that point, 2027. So that is Das Governmento, as well as the system, but also foreign bad actors in my mind. Now, with Rome burning, firearms and ammunition prices are still sky high, and availability is limited, to say the least. That is, I would call that, though, that's Rome burning. That's a civilian issue that is caused by civilians and the government and the system. And a lot of those components come from overseas, so we'll put a check in the box of foreign bad actors as well. And then the NICS, or the NICS, is reportedly still experiencing backlog, which may lead to firearms distribution from FFLs without a successful check, essentially rendering the system ineffective. Well, I'm just going to call that the system and the government. We'll talk about that more in the report as well. War. Recent war concerns include the possibility of nuclear war. Yay. So, war. Nuclear war, Russian super electromagnetic pulse weapons, and warhead capabilities, and increasing cyber attacks. So that's going to be foreign bad actors. Oh, I put all the tyranny marks in the war box. My bad. War. Government, the system. And the concerns of the South China Sea becoming a flashpoint for conflict have not decreased at all. So we're going to go back over here. War, system, government. And then disinformation. Ongoing, massive disinformation across all parties and divisions in the U.S. caused by both internal and external factors. So if we come over here to disinformation, we know that there's civilian disinformation. Un-F yourself, marker. Mark appropriately. The government, the system, and foreign bad actors, and other white hats, black hats, all of the things. Now, economic crisis. We're still in COVID-19. That's being exacerbated by civilians, believe it or not. Definitely a government issue. Definitely a civilian issue, definitely foreign bad actors. And then civil unrest, still ongoing in Portland and other areas. This is a result of the government not doing its job in collusion with the system, brought on by, or in part by, foreign bad actors. So let's tally this bad boy up. We've got 4 for the food shortage. We've got 4 for civil unrest. We've got 7 on economic crisis. We've got 6 on war, we've got 5 on tyranny, and we've got 5 on disinformation, and we've got 6 on Rome burning, for a total of 8, 15, 21, 26, 31, 37. My 3rd grade math teacher would be so proud right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Marker, I hate your guts, marker. Dude, it's literally your job. You are to mark things. 5. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 11. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 11. I wonder who the culprits could be here. 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1. All right, so if we were going to go with the threat matrix here, our biggest current threat is economic crisis brought on by the government and the system. I'm not saying this is a self-fulfilling prophecy, but I am saying I'm not surprised by that. What else we got here? Next threat is war brought on by the government and the system. And then also Rome burning brought on by the government and the system. Least likely currently, or the least impactful currently, food shortage and civil unrest caused by outside entities and civilians. They're on the matrix. It doesn't mean they're not possible. It means that they're less probable. So, that's our Monday morning threat matrix right there. All right. Do I still have a live stream? Am I still allowed by they to speak on the interwebs? I am indeed. Somebody gave us $5. Thank you, whoever gave us $5. I appreciate y'all. Now, let's drag this back down to this size like so. Then we hit this button, then we go back over here, then we click this button over here, which we'll do momentarily. Thank you for joining the show. If you're new to the Bear Show, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. That helps us greatly in the YouTube algorithm. If you would like to share your intel with us, you go to BearIndependent.com. It looks like this up here. And you hit the contact button, El Button del Contacto, and that takes you to this page, which then allows you to fill out this form. You hit the Send Now button, and it sends now. It's incredible, the technology that we have available to us these days. I mean, believe it, tremendous. So that's how you get a hold of us if you have intel to share or silver linings, good news you'd like to share with us. You go to BearIndependent.com, hit the contact page, and you're good to go. Moving right along. What do we got here? 740 folks in the chat. Christopher Phelps, indeed you do for now. Well, bless you, brother. Thank you. Okie Freesteader. That's a good name. Coal miner's daughter, Canadian Wolverine. Matthew Goza. Shaloha Goza. All right. So, segment 1. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, world food prices rose again in January, which marks a 6-year high. Yay! Oh, wait, wrong. That's not what we want. By the way, I left. There was no leaving. My teenager's definition of doing dishes means I'm going to leave them in the sink till Dad threatens to beat my ass. And so instead of having my coffee cups, I have my wife's sparkly purple coffee cup this morning. And I just want to say, under this new administration, I am no longer afraid to show how I really feel. And so I will now be drinking all of my coffee out of sparkly purple tumblers with a bear logo with a bow on its head. So, yes, I don't know where this puts me on the LGBTQIA plus LMNOP spectrum, but I'm feeling pretty good about it. I just want to let you know I'm feeling pretty good about it. DisasterCoffee.com. Bear, you're such a shill. Shut up. They give our ministry money so we can rescue and rehabilitate survivors of human trafficking. I'll say Disaster Coffee whenever I feel like it. Damn, that Disaster Coffee's good. Maybe I want one more sip. I feel better now. I feel better. All right, moving right along with the report. So, the last year has been full of farmers forced to slaughter herds and flocks for all kinds of reasons. Corn prices are 42.3% higher than they were in January of 2020. Part of this increase is due to the impact China's huge purchases have made on the world's supply. I'm telling you, if China and every other country in the world is stockpiling food, maybe we should be stockpiling food. And I say maybe facetiously. You had bet your bottom dollar you should be stockpiling food, because it will be weaponized against you. Sir, madam, if you'd like to get in the breadline, you must be vaccinated. Sir or madam, if you'd like to continue to receive the safety and security brought to you by your wonderful government, you need to get on the bus and go to this camp. It just happens. And people think, well, that could never happen here in the United States. Well, not only has it not happened before, it's going to happen again. It has happened everywhere. And BT dubs, we are on our way, if not truly there already, to a socialist government here in the United States. Socialism is communism light. Communism has killed, in the last 100 years that we know of, that we can actually tally, 100 million of its own non-armed civilians, its own people. That's called democide. When a government kills non-armed, non-combatants, just people, 100 million of them, and another 40 to 70 million have been starved to death under this type of governance. So maybe have a little bit of food, just a little bit. Bear, that could never happen here. Man, I hope you're right. I really, 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 really hope you're right. You know why? Because I like cheeseburgers. I like pizza. I like hanging out with my friends and family on my back porch. I like 1 gig up-down speeds on my fiber optic internet. I like all kinds of things that come from a functional, healthy society and economy. However, I don't see us continuing to trend in the direction of a functional, healthy economy and society. So, preparedness is in large part forecasting potential threats and then taking action now so that we are less impacted by those potential threats. So, stack your effing food to the rafters. The last year has been full of farmers forced to slaughter herds and flocks for all kinds of reasons: lack of feed, a crumbling supply chain, and closed processing plants, and government orders due to disease scares. So here from the United Nations .un.org, www.un.org, just reporting here, YouTube, just reporting the facts, ma'am. Food! After decades of steady decline, world hunger has slowly been on the rise since 2015. An estimated 821 million people in the world suffered from hunger in 2018. That's terrible. There's an interesting graphic down here. 821 million people were undernourished in 2017, up from 784 million in 2015. 2/3 of extremely poor employed workers worldwide are agricultural workers. 2/3 of undernourished people worldwide live in 2 regions: Sub-Saharan Africa and Southeastern Asia. 22% of children under 5 are stunted, meaning they're not getting enough nutrients to grow, enough calories to grow. 5.9% of children under 5 are overweight. 7.3% of children under 5 are affected by wasting, which leads to the UN's Zero Hunger Challenge. Anybody have a guess about the target date for when this should be achieved? Anybody? Pick a year. It rhymes with shmoney birdie. Those aren't words. No. Achieving this goal by the target date of 2030 will require profound change of the global food and agricultural system. Now, listen, I don't want good people, or really even bad people, to starve to death or be undernourished or malnourished. I don't want children who are stunted. I don't want children who are affected by wasting. I think this is a terrible thing. But I know people personally who have just given up their entire lives and gone to Sub-Saharan Africa and Southeastern Asia to take care of these children, not supported by any government, let alone a global overarching government, but supported by individuals like you and I, self-supporting missionaries, to go build orphanages, to build schools, to raise villages with sustainable agriculture so that people can feed themselves. And so the real question here is, what mechanism do we want to use to fix this problem? Do we want to employ global tyranny to shift, and this talks quite a bit in this article here, and you've got the link down in the description, talks quite a bit about shifting resources from developed nations and the most wealthy nations, and newsflash, you're probably sitting in the most developed, most wealthy nation right now, the United States, to other places like Sub-Saharan Africa and Southeastern Asia. The question is, what mechanism by which do we do that? Do we do it voluntarily because of the conviction of our hearts and because we love our neighbor as ourself and because we see the value in all people regardless of their color, their religion, their race, their creed? It doesn't matter. We love people as we love ourselves, and we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And so we take that upon ourselves to meet these needs. Or we let some global oligarchy say, hey, good news, we're taking part of your money and sending it around the world because you're a white male entrepreneur in the United States, and you are now going to be taking care of 14 people in Sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia because we said so. My answer would be, kiss my ass. How come you're not helping us take care of 50 survivors of sex trafficking right now? here in the United States? That would be my answer. So anyway, the United Nations, peace, dignity, and equality. Peace, dignity, and equality on a healthy planet. The mechanism by which we achieve those things, and I don't have an issue with these ideals, but the mechanism by which we achieve those things is either at the end of a gun barrel, because taxation ultimately ends with force if you don't comply, or voluntarily. I would say it's up to us, men, but I don't know if it is up to us anymore. I think that ship might have sailed. A single month record of 4.3 million background checks in January for gun sales amid fears of an increased gun control. Last year, due to the overwhelming volume of demand, the system was so backed up that more and more gun owners' instant checks were being delayed beyond the 3-day threshold. Beyond that point, it is at the FFL's discretion to transfer the firearms or not, which means that there is a continuing potential for the background check system to simply not function correctly in the face of massive demand. Now, here's the thing. Most FFLs are not going to transfer a firearm without a completed background check. But some are worried that, hey, well, the law says if you don't get your 3-day background check, at the FFL's discretion, they can transfer the firearm. And people think that, well, see, that's circumnavigating the background check system. Yeah, but most FFLs, the vast majority of FFLs, are not going to be handing out firearms to people that haven't passed that background check. Now, talking also under the tyranny portion of the threat matrix this morning, the pandemic, this is from the NewYorkPost.com, the pandemic could continue for 7 years under the current vaccination rate. And also, here's a whole room of people right here that can kiss my hairy white ass. It'll be a long 7 years before the COVID-19 pandemic is over worldwide. If vaccine distribution continues at its current rate, a calculation from Bloomberg shows. Blah, 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 blah. Dr. Anthony Fauci has said 70 to 85% of the population will need the vaccine in order to achieve herd immunity. I will be in the 15 to 30% that doesn't take it. Thank you very much. And while the U.S. is on track to reach that goal by the new year of 2022, it could take countries like Canada 10 years at their current pace. Step up your game, Canada. More than 119 million doses have been doled out worldwide, but Bloomberg's tracker shows some countries, mostly rich Western locales, are reaching 75% coverage much faster than others. For example, Israel is on track to see 75% coverage by spring, but it could take Portugal 4 years and China 7 years and Latvia 9 years. This must be due to systemic racism. I don't know. I just figured that's one of these talking points nowadays. Probably. And the article goes on to blah, blah pretty heavily from here. It does say that you might need to get vaccinated again. A study by the Mount Sinai published last week in preprint from blah, 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 blah said reinfection is common among young people, especially those who've had very mild cases or no symptoms at all when they had the bug. Researchers involved urged governments to include young, previously infected people in vaccine distribution. Another study published this week suggested those who have had the virus may only need 1 dose of the vaccine. Cool story, bro. I'm going to get it twice, and then I'll need 0 doses of the vaccine. Winning. So, of course, also, if you need to be winning, you should be buying a bare minimum because it's the best handmade, made in America, guaranteed forever. Blowout kit on the face of planet Earth. How do I know? Well, I made it. And we made these things in conjunction, designed and refined with United States Special Forces. Handmade, hand sewn. Look at the stitching. It's the best. Tremendous. Believe it. And you can get these things at refugemedical.com. 13 lives saved in the last year with this product. Deployed on 4 continents with 4 branches currently. You pop this thing open. You pull it out. Like so, and now you're holding in your hand. It's off of your kit. It's not bungee corded to the side of you or, oh, I don't know where my kit is or blah, 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 blah. Now it's in your hand. You're holding a purpose-built blowout kit. Also, by the way, I think everybody just got shot in their right arm. So, go. There we go. We'll do the right arm today. I know a lot of you guys and girls listen while driving, so we're not going to get shot in the leg anytime soon. One turn past MFer. There it is. There it is. Got it. Police the tail. Perfect. So, purpose-built blowout kit. Pop this open. You got your surgical tape, 6-inch North American Rescue trauma dressing, legit North American Rescue decompression needle for tension pneumothorax, a pair of nitrile gloves because if it's wet and not yours, don't touch it, a Gen 7 cat tourniquet. This is a combat application tourniquet. It is 100% military specification. And down here, you've got your stack. It's everything you need and nothing you don't for handling the MAR of the March algorithm, massive bleeding, airway, and respiratory. And so you've got down here in El Stacco, you've got your North American Rescue 7¼ inch legit EMT shears. They're not Play-Doh scissors, they're real shears. You've got a nasopharyngeal airway size 28 French. You've got 2 5x9 gauze pads for dealing with trauma. And then you've got not one but 2, not compact, but full-size high-fin chest seals. Because newsflash, bullets tend to go through things, not just in them, tend to. So you generally have an entry wound and an exit wound. And also, you might not know this, but you have 2 lungs, not 1. So it's pretty common that if you're applying chest seals, you need to apply more than 1. And a lot of the first aid kits that are out there that are issued to our military only include 1 chest seal. Bro, I got 2 lungs and an entry wound and an exit wound. Also on here, you've got your combat gauze on the top. You can get these at Refuge. Medical.com. My right arm is so numb right now. Colors include red, gray, black, OD green, coyote tan, multicam, Marpat, woodland, and ranger green. And then you can add your quick clot, combat Z-fold gauze, and a SWAT tourniquet to all this. You can find them at refugemedical.com. All right, moving right along. We are going to get into, I'm going to take this tourniquet off of my arm. Holy cow. Unemployment and universal basic income. Look at the vascularity in the back of my hand right now. Yeah. Off with thee. Oh, the sweet relief of blood flow to the extremity. Bear, isn't that bad for you? No. Isn't that bad for the tourniquet? No, not for the trainer tourniquet. Same trainer tourniquet I've had for, I don't know, a year or 2 at this point. And it's like new. You can leave a tourniquet in place. The old doctrine used to be life over limb. That has been proven to be wrong due to the global war on terror with 13,000 plus applications of tourniquets in the last 20 years. And not one person has lost a limb once. Not one time, because the tourniquet was left on too long. You can leave those in place for 10 to 12 hours. Now, if you leave them on that long, you have to deal with something that's called compartment syndrome. And so when it comes time to remove the tourniquet, it should be removed by a medical professional. But that's why you go to the 4-hour class. Did I mention I didn't even mention the 4-hour class. Yo, if you're in the Nashville area, go to Refuge Medical. If you're 3 to 4 hours from the Nashville area, go to Refuge Medical, click this banner at the top, and it takes you to the Nashville Stop the Bleed class right here. There's 4 classes to pick from. Pick one, go, learn all about compartment syndrome and how to put on a tourniquet and how long you can leave it in place. And what else do we have to do? If somebody gets stabbed, shot, blown up, falls down, cuts themselves with a chainsaw, gets poked in the chest, attacked by a rhino, whatever. Okay, cool story, bro. Nashville area, Nashville, Tennessee. Bear, you ever gonna come to my area? Nashville, Tennessee area. There you go. So, universal basic income and joblessness, aka unemployment. And this is from FiveThirtyEight.com. The unemployment benefits are still blocking normal economic operations. This is from the report, not from the website. One Bear National notes, quote, I had a contractor at the house today surveying a repair due to water damage. He stated that the construction business is booming in Southern California. However, they cannot find employees who will stick around. This conversation started when I asked for a time frame for the repairs. One person quit after 1 day of work and is collecting unemployment, including the $300 extra per week. Others, the contractor has tried to hire, are asking for cash. This has been going on since last year when the $600 extra unemployment kicked in. These jobs are for entry-level construction work, which is extremely difficult to fill right now, as these people are making more than they would if they were working, even with the reduction of extra unemployment reduced from $600 to $300 per week. Which brings us to FiveThirtyEight.com and this article here. Many Americans are getting more money from unemployment than they were from their jobs, by Amelia Thompson Devereaux. And it's whatever. The real reason we're here is for this particular graph. This graph here shows some workers are making more on unemployment. And for those that can't see the graph currently, you're driving, listening on the podcast, whatever. So without the CARES Act is our left column, with the CARES Act is our right column, and then down the middle, we have a line, a 100 percentile. Across the bottom of this graph, we have 0%, 50, 100, 150, and 200%. And so what it's doing is graphing what people were making without the CARES Act, and then now what people are making after the CARES Act, and where that falls compared to a 100% replacement rate of their actual cost of living, their actual wage that they were being paid, rather, not the cost of living, the wage that they were being paid. And so if we look at food service jumped from about 120% to 180%. Janitorial from probably $1.05 to 160%. Medical assistance from 100 to 155. Sales and retail from about 85% to 140%. Transportation from about 80% to 125%. Construction from about 80% to 125%. Teachers from about 75% to 120%. And then nurses and therapists jump here from about 60% to 80%. Managers from about 50% to 75%, and information and technology from about 40% to 65%. So the massive jumps on this graph are in food service, janitorial, medical assistance, sales and retail, transportation, construction, and teachers. These are all, generally speaking, jobs that require a human to work with their hands where they are at. Construction is very difficult to do remotely. Same thing with transpo, although that will change as technology continues to develop. Sales and retail can be done online, but if you have a shop and you have employees in your shop, they can't Zoom call into the office or the shop for the next 10 hours to work their shift. Same thing with medical assistance. By and large, you have to be there where the procedure or the care is being given. Janitorial, very difficult to clean a place remotely. And food service, same thing. You can't get your arms through the computer monitor into the griddle so that you can cook the burgers and do all that. It's right. So these are in-person jobs. Nurses and therapists, telehealth is a big one. Managers, man, everybody's seen the rise of Zoom during COVID. And information technology. Y'all people were already working remotely. You're like, we've been doing this for years. Yeah, nothing new there. But the massive jumps in unemployment are in food service, janitorial, medical assistance, sales and retail, transportation, construction, and teachers. And so they're making significantly more with the CARES Act than they were at their jobs. Every one of these graphs has at least doubled, it appears, what the person was earning. So, why is that an issue? Well, an article here from thebalance.com, Universal Basic Income. And again, you've got all these links in the description on YouTube and on Patreon. What is Universal Basic Income? Pros and Cons of a Guaranteed Income by Kimberly Amadeu, Reviewed by Thomas J. Brock with a check mark. Well, thank you, Thomas J. Brock. The key takeaways are a universal basic income provides everyone with a minimum living wage, whether they are unemployed or otherwise. It was proposed to address job losses stemming from technological innovation. Many countries, states, and cities are experimenting with pilot programs. So there's an excellent graph, or not a graph rather, but a table here. Pros and cons of universal basic income. The snapshot below shows some of the program's many pros and cons that exist for countries who wish to implement a basic income. So let's look at pros first. Workers could afford to wait for better jobs or better wages. People would have the freedom to return to school or stay home to care for a relative. They may help remove the poverty trap from traditional welfare programs. Citizens could have simple, straightforward financial assistance that minimizes bureaucracy. The government would spend less to administer the program than with traditional welfare. I question all these statements, but we'll deal with that in a minute. Young couples would have more money to start families in countries with low birth rates. The payment could help stabilize the economy during recessionary periods. The payments could help stabilize the economy during recessionary periods. Let's look at cons. Inflation could be triggered because of the increase in demands for goods and services. No, inflation would be triggered, sweetheart, by the fact that we're going to have to print trillions of dollars to make this happen, debasing the value of our currency. Because if you have one pie and you cut it into 2 slices, those slices are massive. If you cut it into 8 slices, you don't have 8 massive slices. You have 8 slices, each now that are 1/4 the size of the 2 original slices you had. If you cut it into 16 slices, yes, we have more pie, but each piece of pie is worth less. It's a smaller piece of pie, right? Got it. Inflation. More pieces of pie is not always better because 2 pieces of pie, each piece of pie is valued at 15%. 8 pieces of pie, each piece of pie is valued at 12.5%, right? 16 pieces, 6.25%, so forth and so on. So a 16-piece pie is a 6.25% valuation versus a 2-piece pie, which is a 50% valuation. So printing more money, cutting the pie into more pieces, does not increase the value of the pieces of pie or the pieces of money. Onward. There won't be an increased standard of living in the long run because of inflated prices. Agree. A reduced program with smaller payments won't make a real difference to poverty-stricken families. Agree. I don't think it will at all, regardless of how it's implemented. Free income may not incentivize people to get jobs and could make work seem optional. Agree. I'm all over that like white on rice on a paper plate in a snowstorm. Free income could perpetuate the falling labor force participation rate. Agree. There are many opposed to handouts for the unemployed. This again gets back to the mechanisms that we use to address the problems that we see in the world. Do we want a government to handle this? Hey, I'm going to take some money out of your paycheck because you did a good job earning money, you figured out how to play the game in the system, and we're going to redistribute that wealth to people that, and fully acknowledging that many people, many places, not everybody has the same starting position on the game board. I get it. It's not like the game of Monopoly where we all start on go, right? Some people start 86 spaces ahead and some people start 19 spaces back. I get it. I totally understand that. But I'm an equal opportunity person, and not meaning like EEO, the federally mandated Equal Opportunity Act bull garbage, not that. What I mean is I think that everybody has the right, per their creator, to firmly place their boots on the battlefield of life and start attacking life and making progress. And I think for some people it has been more difficult to do that. However, Everybody has their origin story, and it's the fighting of those battles to come up out of poverty, to come out of an abusive home, to come out of a single-parent home, or an orphanage, or whatever it might be, or being born on the wrong side of the tracks, or having the wrong color skin, depending on where you live, or whatever your origin story is. It's those things that make you fierce and tenacious and strong and skilled and valuable as a human being, that allow you to learn to navigate, that create knowledge that you can then share with your children, your family, the people who come up underneath you, so that we perpetuate society, so that we have meaningful relationships with one another. When we start everybody in the same place, as much as I feel like emotionally we should all start on the same square on the Monopoly board. But the thing is, it's those disadvantages that make us who we are. They're not really disadvantages if we have the mindset that these are the things that taught me how to play this game, and I've gotten good at playing the game. If you focus on the disadvantages as you see them, you're never going to get any better. If you keep complaining about the fact that you started on the 19th square back on the game board, rather than making moves to move to -18, -17, -16, -5, +2, +21, +148. And it doesn't matter. If you just stand on the same square of the board bitching about it, you never move forward on the board. So there are many opposed to handouts for the unemployed. Yeah, What mechanism are we going to use to lift each other up, to love our neighbors as ourselves? Do we need the government to mandate that we love our neighbors as ourselves, or do we need to just be honest with the fact that our Messiah has already commanded us to do that? In fact, then it says in the Torah in the Old Testament, let there be no poor among you. Let there be no poor among you. So, meet people's daily needs. What does Messiah say when he's praying? Give us this day our daily bread. It's not give us this day our 401k so I can retire at 45 and live on a yacht. No, our daily bread, our basic needs. And so, again, the question is, what is the mechanism that we are going to use to meet these daily needs? Is it federally mandated universal basic income? Or is it charity through the kindness of our hearts? And the conviction is put there by our Creator to let there be no poor among us, to love our neighbor as ourselves, to take care of people to the best of our ability. Because if you want a prosperous society again, that means that we have to actually engage with one another. You got to go talk to your neighbor. You got to go down to the food bank. You got to go deploy on a mission somewhere and go help somebody that has 0.0% chance of ever, air quote, paying you back. Go do something for somebody that can never be repaid or replaced. You want to fill your heart up with joy? Do that. Do that. You know how powerful it is when you hand a plate of hot food to somebody who hasn't had a hot meal in 14 weeks, and they're literally crying and falling down on their knees because they haven't had a hot meal in 14 weeks, 3.5 months, and they're bawling. And they say, why are you doing this? By the way, as a white man covered in tattoos in the middle of the ghetto, surrounded by people that, per the media, should be my enemy because they're a bunch of inner city African American people. We should be like oil and water, but we're not, because we're loving on each other to the best of our ability. And these people are sobbing, saying, why are you doing this? Oh, let me tell you why. Because your Creator loves you so much that He convicted me 886 miles away to come here and help you. And then He convicted hundreds of other people to fund this mission so that we could come here and help you, so that you and I would have an opportunity to meet, so that I could meet your physical needs before we ever even begin to discuss your spiritual needs. And then they cry even more. And it's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. You want that? You want the most beautiful thing you've ever seen, or another government program? You pick. I'm just saying. But the thing is, for us, in order to have the most beautiful thing we've ever seen, we have to get engaged. We have to step outside of our comfort zone. We have to go and do. Moses tells us in the Old Testament, guard to do these commands. Love your neighbor as yourself is not something that you think about. It's not something you just talk about. It's not something you blog about. You have to do it. If you don't do it, it does not matter. So we could farm it out yet again to another government program, which I'm sure they're going to be great stewards of our convictions and our wallets. I'm sure they're going to be awesome at it. Or we could take the personal responsibility to bless people where we are at to the best of our ability. Because on Monday, you might be blessing them, but by Thursday, you might need them to bless you. And that's what you call community. And that is perhaps the first glimmer of hope in this entire mess of 2020 and 2021. What do we do, Bear? That. Love people. Start with that. Regardless of how they look. Regardless of what their political convictions are. The demon rats, if I see that one more time in the chat, the next time that somebody puts the demon rats in the chat, I'm going to drop a nuclear weapon on your house. As far as the band hammers that come. I don't mean this literally. I mean this figuratively. Do I relate to the Democratic position? No, not one bit. Not even a little bit. Do I demonize those people? No. They're real people like you and I are. And you can continue down the path of open warfare in the United States of America, doing everything that the cabal, they want you to do. Continue to divide people up and put them in tiny little boxes. Do it for them. Or you could realize that if we ever take all of our individuality, and we should be strong, capable individuals, and then coalesce that into a fist, that you can actually do some damage. You can actually fight back with a fist. But when they keep everybody all separate, what are we going to do? Tickle them? This is nothing. This is something. And that begins with you. It begins with me, our personal responsibility to love our neighbor as ourselves. Not implement another universal basic income program or another government program or whatever. Everybody keeps blah-blahing about the mark of the beast and the system and the beast and then this and that. Well, then stop empowering it. Stop playing it. Stop being a part of it. It's not enough to simply opt out of the system. You have to create your own system. You can't simply be neutral on this. You have to opt out and then replace that thing that the system was providing with something that you and your people, your community, your society, your neighborhood, your church, that you are providing instead. Yeah, it takes effort. It takes time. It takes money. Blood, sweat, and tears. You will hate it some days. Ask me how I know. But you will love it most days, and it will be good. Or you can continue suckling on the teat of the big government and wondering why you're so unfulfilled and everything seems bleak and dreary and hopeless. Because it is. Over there, latched to the tit of the government, that's not what we were made to be. We're not called to that. No, go be the light. The light doesn't hang out in the darkness wondering why the darkness won't flick its bick to light its candle for it. Bitching about the darkness. That's not what the light does. Go be the light. Go is a verb. Guard to do. You have to do it. All right, hopping off of this soapbox. Do I still have a live stream? No. Yes. Question mark. 1,321 people. Good morning, everybody. Thank y'all for the super chats. Ian McPhee. Bless you, brother. It's a long time, Ian McPhee. Shalom, brother. Shalom. Homie Biscuits. Good morning, baby. That's my wife. She awesome. AdventureFrontier.com. I can guarantee you they're not supporters of universal basic income. These are awesome people. They love the Father with all their soul, with all their heart, with all their might. And they love their neighbor as themselves as well. If you need to buy some body armor before Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. makes that impossible for you, please check out AdventureFrontier.com. They've got Spartan armor. I run Spartan armor. I've got 4 sets of it. I mean 0 sets of it because of things and reasons and stuff. I donated it to the Biden campaign. That's what I meant to say. I donated it to the Biden campaign. Right. Well, now that I need to buy some new armor, I'm going to be getting some of it from AdventureFrontier.com. They've got the level 3, the level 3 plus, the level 4, the single curve, the triple curve, the anti-spall coating, the shooter cut, the active cut, the this thing, the that thing. They got all that stuff. You can use promo code BearNation for $10 off your order. They've also got the best individual first aid kits in the world, the BearFAC and the Bare Minimum, as well as your Fluffy Bunny patches and stickers. If you don't know about the Fluffy Bunny, man, you're not read in on the project. Don't worry about it. You didn't see anything. You didn't see anything. You didn't see anything. AdventureFrontier.com. All right, so look, when we talk about universal basic income, of course, we're going to go over here and look at the World Economic Forum and the Great Reset. And maybe this is something that's a little redundant, a little repetitive, but I want to show y'all these things regularly. And I would encourage you to be thinking about what is the antithesis to their lines of effort? What is the pushback? How do we combat their lines of effort with our own? What things do we agree on, perhaps? You know, if we look here at harnessing the 4th Industrial Revolution, well, 5G is one of their things. Okay, you know, I haven't heard a damn word from anybody wearing tinfoil on their forehead about 5G since about March of 2019. Coronavirus was caused by the 5G. It causes the oxygen molecules in your deoxyribonucleic acid to spin counterclockwise, which causes cancer, which is whatever somehow turns pneumonia into your lungs, which is how you get the COVID-19. And haven't you noticed that all these cities that have major outbreaks of COVID also have 5G? And what about the cruise ships that have 5G on them? And there's lots of people get sick on cruise ships all the time. People get sick in cities all the time. Why? Because they're ant farms masquerading as petri dishes because population density matters. I haven't heard anybody talking about 5G lately. Just saying. Sometimes rational thinking wins. That's all I'm saying. And you know what? If it's legitimately bad for you, I'll be the first one to tell you. I have zero indication of that currently. Subject to change at any moment. But here's my point. Under the harnessing the Industrial Revolution, so digital economy and new value creation, that to me sounds a lot like universal basic income. They don't have a line here in their lines of effort that explicitly says universal basic income. It's interesting, though, how digital identity is tied to the digital economy and new value creation, tied also with blockchain and artificial intelligence. This has been one of the concerns that I've had for a while with blockchain is while I think it started altruistically, like all technologies, it can be corrupted and it can be applied. The technology itself is neutral, you know, just like a firearm. A firearm doesn't kill people. And of course, there's a difference between killing and murder. A firearm doesn't murder people. A murderer murders people. It's the technology is neutral. It's how it's employed that's either good or bad. And my issue with blockchain is there seems to be a real possibility that it becomes adopted by people like the World Economic Forum and the Global Great Reset, because it's right here in one of their lines of effort, which means that now using blockchain and artificial intelligence under the digital economy and new value creation, we have to use your digital identity coupled with your vaccine, your vaccination over here, and our internet governance to determine whether or not you get to continue to play in the sandbox. Look over here. We also have the digital transformation of business. Well, there's certain businesses that are not going to be transformed digitally. Again, janitorial services, I mean, unless we get an army of Roombas, and maybe that's the answer, I don't know. Food service, we've already seen that with McDonald's and robots. Medical assistance, telehealth, yeah. Sales and retail, maybe. Transportation, yeah. Elon's, automatic electric trucks. Construction, maybe. Maybe. Teachers, that stuff's, everybody is homeschooling right now, whether you actually have a homeschool curriculum or you're just doing, remote learning. Practically everybody's homeschooling. So maybe, but the overarching theme here is that the idea of a universal basic income is one that's being touted by the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, and many countries around the world as well. There's these lines of effort that the World Economic Forum has are just scary, because if we look at redesigning social contracts, skills, and jobs, the fourth industrial revolution, artificial intelligence, public finance, and social protection. Public finance and social protection go hand in hand, according to them. So that's things like Stripe and PayPal saying, or whatever credit card processor saying that, you know what, we're no longer going to process payments for firearms companies. Okay, well, that's public finance and social protection in their mind. What about, Bank of America handing over 200 names recently? I think you're getting my drift here. So, workforce and employment, agile governance, leadership, corporate governance, Green New Deals, LGBTI inclusion, systemic racism, gender parity, human rights, peace and resilience, social justice and entrepreneurship, justice and law, and civic participation. If you're not being a good little follower, if you're not participating civically within the new system, we will use our artificial intelligence and our public finance and social protection, coupled with our workforce and employment and our agile governance, using the leadership that we have through corporate governance and our Green New Deals and our policies on inclusion and systemic racism, peace, resilience, gender parity, human rights, and social justice, to put you under the justice and the law so that you can no longer engage in entrepreneurship. I don't even have to try to put that scenario together. Drones. They want to make drones. Drones is literally one of their lines of effort over here. And I don't know that they're necessarily talking about those little helicopter things. All right, moving right along. H.R. 1 for the People Act of 2021. Had a lot of people asking about this. Suffice it to say, it seems to be... I don't know yet, but I really don't like the way it looks, so I'll be honest with that. A summary of this bill is in progress, but it is the For the People's Act, and it addresses voting, redistricting, and financing of campaigns. So there's 209 co-sponsors, and this is from Congress.gov. Again, you've got the links down in the description. So we'll just look at some of the co-sponsors. Nancy Pelosi, Democrat. These are all Democrats. Brad Sherman, Brian Higgins. Let's see. Raskin, Vargas, Underwood, Sheila Jackson Lee, Escobar, Vivanica Escobar, Democrat, Texas. Napolitano, Bass, Velazquez, Raul Ruiz, All Democrats. All Democrats. All Democrats. Where'd she go? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Carolyn Bordeaux. And Kathleen Rice. Okay. All Democrats. All of the co-sponsors on this bill, the 209 co-sponsors on this bill, are all Democrats. And I'd like to draw a distinction here between professional, bought and paid for Democratic politicians who I loathe and disdain, and human beings that are members of, citizens of these United States of America who are our neighbors and our sisters and our brothers. Okay? Professional politicians, regardless of which NASCAR uniform they wear, I'm not interested in at all. Okay, committees tied to H.R. 1. The Committee on House Administration, House Intelligence, Permanent Select Committee, House Judiciary, House Oversight and Reform, House Science, Space and Technology, House Education and Labor, House Ways and Means, House Financial Services, House Ethics, House Homeland Security, and House Armed Services. Copy. So what is H.R. 1? Over here from heritage.org. The facts about H.R. 1 for the People Act of 2019. So I'll read you the summary, and then there's a bunch of points down here which we may or may not have time to get into. So the summary, H.R. 1 federalizes and micromanages the election process administered by the states, imposing unnecessary, unwise, and unconstitutional mandates on the states and reversing the decentralization of the American election process, which is necessary for protecting our liberty and freedom. The bill interferes with the ability of states and their citizens to determine qualifications for voters, to ensure the accuracy of voter registration rolls, to secure the integrity of elections, to participate in the political process, and to determine the district boundary lines for electing their representatives. Key takeaways. H.R. 1 federalizes and micromanages the election process administered by the states, imposing unnecessary, unwise, and unconstitutional mandates on the states. The bill interferes with the ability of states and their citizens to determine qualifications for voters and to ensure the accuracy of voter registration rolls. And H.R. 1 reverses the decentralization of the American election process, which is necessary for protecting our liberty and freedom. Now, I think elections that ship has sailed. I don't think we will ever have another accurate election in my lifetime. I believe that the Dominion voting scandal has proven that. This is me speaking, me editorializing. I believe that the idea of honest and fair elections has been garbage for a long time, but they've proven it now with this most recent presidential election. So what would H.R. 1 do? Seize the authority of states to regulate voter registration in the voting process by forcing states to implement early voting, automatic voter registration, same-day registration, online voter registration, and no-fault absentee balloting. Make it easier to commit fraud and promotes chaos at the polls through same-day registration, as election officials have no time to verify the accuracy of voter registration information and cannot anticipate the number of voters, ballots, and precinct workers that will be needed. Hurts voter turnout through early voting, degrade the accuracy of registration lists by automatically registering, constitute a recipe for massive voter registration fraud by hackers and cyber criminals through online voter registration, require states to count ballots cast by voters outside their assigned precinct, prevent election officials from checking the eligibility. It's terrible. It's terrible. You can find all of this information in the links down below in the description on YouTube, as well as on Patreon over here in the threat matrix. And look, you can see, look at this right here on Patreon. Taurus G3 First Impressions posted this morning. The Bear Report posted 7 o'clock last night. Give me your questions. You got a question for Bear? There it is. A little bit of truth is being spitted, and then the Bear Report also on FEB. So that's the most recent Patreon post right there. Go check it out. Patreon is our backup, by the way, so when the world ends, you'll find us on Patreon. Grindstone.com, but before we get into Grindstone.com, let's read our silver linings. We still got a live stream? Still got a live stream. 1,317 people. Now is the portion of the show where people start hopping off because Bear's going to talk about good stuff, then he's going to read the Psalms, and then he's going to pray. I don't want to have anything to do with that. Well, you might one day. And my prayer for you is that you do stick around because you need to know that there's good in the world and that the Father loves us and that he speaks to us through his word and that people are actually doing well in 2019, 2020, and 2021. So, silver linings. The pandemic has made me reevaluate my priorities over the past year. After seeing yet again firsthand how the system and powers that be do not have our best interest, I decided to make a change in my own life. I lost 60 pounds, and I make sure I take my supplements every day. Working out keeps me ready and keeps my mental fortitude strong. I've used this time to stay close to my family, strengthen my inner circle, and as always remind myself that I am primarily in service to my Creator. I also have used this time to square away my preps, which includes medical gear such as the bare minimum, which I love. I have several plans in place and actively monitor the landscape locally and globally. I just wanted to thank the Bear Nation for being a glimmer of light in such a dark world. We must always remember we have control over ourselves and no one can take that away from us. Amen. And one family is leaving a big city for a small property in their childhood community with a well and septic. Quote, precious metals are in hand, food is stacked to the rafters, skills are being learned, bear fac in place, stop the bleed class done, strength going up, weight going down. God has blessed us. You have been a leader and a mentor in this. Thank you for your ministry. Well, all praise to the Most High. Bless y'all. Thank you for your silver linings. And we've only got 2 today, so if you've got good stuff that we need to know about in the Bear Nation, please send it to intel@bearindependent.com. Or you can use the contact us page right here at Bear Independent. Just go to bearindependent.com. We spell that BAREENDUHPANDTZINLMNOPUQNIN.com. So bearindependent.com. You can find us, click the contact page, and send your good information, your good news, your silver linings to us, please. Grindstone. Grindstone Ministries is our charitable organization for the rescue and rehabilitation of survivors of human trafficking. I don't really want to get into it right now, but suffice it to say that it's an abysmal thing and we are taking a stand against it. So just check out grindstoneministries.com. You can sign up for the newsletter. If you'd like to donate, you can do that here. And then if you need to contact us about anything, you can contact us down here at the bottom of the page. Disastercoffee.com is an awesome ministry. Well, they're a business that supports our ministry, but they created their business to generate revenue to support people like us. And they do a damn good job at it. So if you need some good coffee and want to support good causes, please check out disastercoffee.com. Chaffee Oat Cigars. And by the way, we have no professional relationships with any of these people. These are just people that we love. They don't pay us to talk nice about them. Like, that's not how this works. These are people that we love that are doing good things, and we want to shine light on the fact that they are doing good things. And Disaster Coffee supports Grindstone Ministries, among others. Chaffee Oat Cigars supports a different ministry that's also engaged in combating human trafficking. Awesome. Cool. I ain't upset about it. That's awesome. Amendment 1 Preparedness. Yeah, they support Grindstone. Cool. There's no conflict there at all because they're good people. If they stop supporting Grindstone tomorrow, you'd still see them on the show. So my point here is Chaffee Oat Cigars. None of these people pay us money to talk about them. None of them. Adventure Frontier doesn't pay me money to talk about them. I love them. They're awesome. That's why I tell you guys to go to adventurefrontier.com. I don't get paid to pimp products. I don't get paid to talk about other websites. That's not how this works. And so if I bring it to you, it's because it's good. Okay? ChaffeeOatCollection.com if you'd like to smoke a good cigar and support the efforts against human trafficking. check them out, ChaffeeOatCollection.com. And they do have a promo code. I believe it's BEAR21, BEAR21, gets you 20% off your order, which is awesome. And when I get done with this broadcast, I'm going to go smoke one of their barber poles. They're phenomenal. In fact, let's see if I can find it. Shop our collection, the Barber Pole Trio. Yes, I'm over 21, I promise. Where you be at? I guess they're out of Barber Pole Trios. Well, I also have these guys right here. I just got a box of them. No, I just got a box of these guys. They're phenomenal. Anyway, they rock. Canned ham from Amendment 1 Preparedness. Listen, if you're into prepper stuff and you don't have your combo squared away, please check out Amendment1Preparedness.com. Like, they make these. It's awesome. They take a 50 caliber or 30 caliber ammo can and put everything you need for a radio inside of it so it stays weather tight. It includes the antenna and the microphone and the radio and the speaker and the battery backup and all of that for like, what, $320? Come on, you are going to spend $320 on something stupid this month, I promise you. Maybe it'll be a little fan thing that you can throw into the creek and the water will run through it and it'll generate 0.5 watts at 12 volts and you can use that to power your iPhone for 4 minutes during the apocalypse. That's a good idea. Or you could get, a canned ham. And of course, Sanctified Supply Co. Listen, if you're a human being who wears clothes, you should check out SanctifiedSupplyCo.com. Our brother Hobie looking tremendous in the Grindstone Ministries North Division shirt right here. Sanctified Supply Co. Go check them out. They rock. Now, moving right along. Psalms 91. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High, who abides under the shadow of the Almighty. He is saying of Yahuwah, my refuge and my stronghold, my Elohim in whom I trust. For he delivers you from the snare of a trapper, from the destructive pestilence. He covers you with his pinion, and under his wings you take refuge. His truth is a shield and armor. You are not afraid of the dread by night, or of the arrow that flies by day, of the pestilence that walks in darkness, of destruction that ravages at midday. 1,000 fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it does not come near to you. Only with your eyes you look on, and see the reward of the wronged ones, because you have made Yahuwah, my refuge, the Most High, your dwelling place. No evil befalls you, and plague does not come near your tent. For he commands his messengers concerning you, his angels concerning you, to guard you in all your ways, lest they bear you up in their hands, lest you dash your foot against a stone. By the way, that is one of the verses that the enemy, the Nahash HaSatan, Yeshua tempted Jesus with during his 40 days in the wilderness. For he commands his messengers concerning you to guard you in all your ways, lest they bear you up in their hands, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You tread upon lion and cobra, young lion and serpent, you trample underfoot. Because he cleaves to me in love, therefore I deliver him. I set him on high, because he has known my name. When he calls on me, I answer him. I am with him in distress, and I deliver him and glorify him. With long life I satisfy him and show him my deliverance. Father Yah, thank you for your word. Father, thank you for deliverance and for trampling the serpent underfoot. Father, thank you for your protection and provision and blessing, for the covering over our tents, and for being near to us. Father Yah, thank you that there's still so many things going right in the world, that all is not lost, that the hype out there in the world is not louder than your glory and awesomeness. Father, there are many people out there that we could be aligned with, that we could learn to love if we simply took the time. So, Father, I ask that you would create the opportunities for us to love our neighbors as ourselves, and to love you with everything that we've got, with our heart, with our mind, with our soul, with our might, with everything that we've got, Father. Father, I pray that you just continue to speak truth to us. That your truth would just cut through all the signals, noise, all the mess. That we would hold you higher than anything of this world. Father Yah, if there's anything within me or within the sound of my voice that's not of you, we come together in agreement and rebuke it in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, command it to flee. Father, fill us up with your Ruach HaKodesh, your Holy Spirit, for wisdom and discernment, for strength and power and authority, for healing, and for peace that surpasses all understanding. Father, bring our brothers and sisters near to us, and cause our enemies to flee. And Father, whether this be an awakening or a sifting or a separating or an enlightening, be near to your people. Father Yah, lift these people up to you and lay them at your feet and ask that you would continue to protect them, provide for them, and bless them. And I ask all these things in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen. Bless y'all. I appreciate you, boys and girls, very much. Thank you to all the blue wrenches. Thank you to all the super chats. Thank you to everybody who stuck around for the end of the show. Go have a blessed day. Shalom.